Mr. President, honoured guests and members of the Dartmouth community, welcome. Today's convocation marks the beginning of Dartmouth's 244th year. The start of the academic year is always special for this community, and it is my pleasure to welcome all of the undergraduates and graduates and all of you who are experiencing the first convocation at Dartmouth. Welcome. Today also marks another significant event in Dartmouth's history, the inauguration of the 18th President in the Wheelock succession, President Philip Hanlon, a member of Dartmouth's class of 77. Ladies and gentlemen, we shall begin this occasion with an invocation offered by Rabbi Edward Boraz, the Executive Director of Dartmouth College, Hillel.
To President William J. Hanlon, his wife, Gail Gentis, our Board of Trustees, Governor Maggie Hassan, Presidents Emeriti James Wright and Jim Young Kim, invited guests, distinguished faculty, staff, members of the Dartmouth community, and the class of 2017. It is a great honor to deliver the invocation on behalf of our gathering here this afternoon. Let us pray to the eternal Spirit that guides and inspires our hearts and minds. We express a deep sense of gratitude for this moment in the history of Dartmouth as we gather to celebrate the inauguration of Philip J. Hanlon as its 18th president. In so doing, we acknowledge our sacred obligation to the pursuit of knowledge so as to better our world. We understand our humanity and our mission to be one that motivates us at all times to become a better, more caring, and inclusive community in our collaborative quest for truth. Today, in the Jewish tradition, we celebrate the festival of Sukkot, the Feast of Tabernacles, a festival of thanksgiving. It commemorates the time when a people journeyed in the wilderness towards a promised land. We too are on a journey that is reflected in Dartmouth's motto, Kol Koreh Bamidbar, Vox Clamantis in Deserto, a voice of one that cries out in the wilderness. We too are a voice that proclaims its mission to be one that helps each generation of students acquire the mind and the heart to improve the human condition wherever they may journey hereafter. It is a day of thanksgiving, for we are filled with appreciation to have Philip J. Hanlon serve as Dartmouth's president. We give thanks for his predecessors who grace our presence today as we move forward. Presidents Emeriti James Wright and Jim Young Kim. We are grateful for every person who works each day to make our college a better place for all who are here. In the language of the psalmist, we seek to gain a deeper sense of our finitude so that we may acquire a heart of wisdom. We pray to that eternal Spirit that resides in our hearts, that the work we do under President Philip J. Hanlon's leadership find favor in the heart of humankind, that the work of Dartmouth be established firmly in building a better tomorrow for all. And let us say, Amen.
It is my privilege today to welcome a number of special guests to the college. The first, of course, President Hanlon's wife, Gail Gentis, and their children, Maureen, Michael, and Patrick. And we're also pleased that many members of President Hanlon's extended family are with us today. I wonder if you could rise and we can acknowledge you. We're also honored today to have with us President Emeritus Jim Wright and President Emeritus Jim Yong Kim, and also Susan Wright. And I would ask Susan Wright to stand and acknowledge. I want to give a special welcome to the Governor of the State of New Hampshire, Her Excellency Margaret Wood Hassan. Hassan is a member of the Dartmouth Board of Trustees, and I'm also delighted to welcome her and the other trustees and trustees emeriti. We're very pleased you're all with us today. The colleges, universities, and institutions listed in your program are represented by their presidents or by their delegates. I would ask that the delegates rise as a group so that they can be acknowledged. Please rise. It's also wonderful to welcome Dartmouth President Hanlon's colleagues from the University of Michigan. And we're very pleased they could join us for this special event. Please stand to be acknowledged. We also extend a special welcome to Dartmouth's alumni class officers here for Class Officers Weekend, and to the members of President Hanlon's class of 77 who are here today to honour their classmate. We welcome you back to campus and delighted you are with us on such a happy occasion. Could you stand and be acknowledged, please? To my esteemed colleagues on the faculty and staff, undergraduate, graduate and professional school students, the community members and friends, thank you for being here on the Green for Convocation and President Hanlon's inauguration. I don't think we could have had a better day for it. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, it is now my pleasure to introduce Governor Hassan, who will bring us greetings from the state.
Well, good afternoon. Thank you, Provost Wyborn, for the introduction, and thank you to the Dartmouth community for allowing me and my husband, Tom, to share this special day with all of you. We are honored to join you, members of the Board of Trustees, faculty and staff, students and alumni, Presidents Emeriti Wright and Kim, other distinguished guests and members of the community in welcoming new President Philip J. Hanlon back to his alma mater. And University of Michigan President Mary Sue Coleman, I would like to welcome you to New Hampshire, but most importantly, I want to thank you for returning President Hanlon to us. The 10th Dartmouth alumnus to serve as president, President Hanlon is well aware of the tradition of strong leadership that has helped Dartmouth College become one of the most well-known and respected institutions of learning in the world. A tremendous source of pride for the state of New Hampshire and our people, Dartmouth has long reflected what the people of New Hampshire have always known. Educating our young people is essential to the progress of our state and of our country. As we work to build the foundation for the innovation economy of the 21st century that will create good jobs and lift all of our people, Dartmouth's mission to prepare students for a lifetime of learning and responsible leadership is more important than ever. You have long been preparing tomorrow's leaders through the open exchange of thought and ideas, and your work is one of the reasons why we stand at the threshold of a bright new future. I have no doubt that President Hanlon will carry on the very best traditions of the Wheelock succession, a dedication to creating excitement around learning, a commitment to caring about his students, and the conviction to help our young people create a better tomorrow, just as his predecessors, Dr. Wright and Dr. Kim, did. Thank you, Drs. Wright and Kim, for your leadership, everything you have done for Dartmouth, our communities, our state, and our nation, and for what you are both doing now to continue to strengthen humankind. And President Hanlon, again, welcome home. We are so glad to have you and Gail in the Granite State. Some things in our state may have changed since your time as an undergraduate, but I know you will find that New Hampshire's natural beauty, our vibrant civic society and community engagement, our rugged individualism, and our commitment to collective problem solving continue to be as strong as granite. We consider Dartmouth to be an integral asset and a resource for the state of New Hampshire, and the success of your students benefits all of our communities. And your students' understanding of what it means to be successful must be a broad one. New Hampshire's unique citizen democracy, exemplifying the principle of self-government that our country was founded upon, requires an engaged citizenry. And we need that engaged citizenry to include young people from all walks of life who understand that our success in our personal lives, as well as economically, depends on our willingness to engage with each other as equals to solve problems together. We need Dartmouth and its graduates to continue to be engaged in our shared future. President Hanlon, as a true scholar-teacher, I know that your commitment to hands-on education will serve Dartmouth student body well and help the institution continue its invaluable contributions to our state and our nation. And your background in mathematics will undoubtedly help inspire more students to pursue learning opportunities in science, technology, engineering, and math. Even if their careers don't necessarily follow a path in one of the STEM fields, expanding knowledge in these areas, when combined with studies in the arts, history, culture, and other areas, is critical to a well-rounded education that will allow students to develop the creative and critical thinking necessary for success in an innovation economy. I am confident that your inauguration is the beginning of another bright chapter in Dartmouth's storied history. Congratulations to the entire Dartmouth community on this historic day, and to President Hanlon. I look forward to working together with you to build a stronger, more innovative New Hampshire. Thank you all very much.
Thank you, Governor Hassan. I'm now pleased to introduce Dartmouth's Dean of the College, Charlotte Johnson.
Thank you, Martin. This is a time for new beginnings. As we celebrate President Hanlon's inauguration today, we also celebrate the convocation of the college's 244th academic year. This occasion provides several opportunities for all of us to remind ourselves of our purpose and values and to extend a ceremonial welcome to new students, this year's class of 2017. We embrace the opportunity for renewal and transformation as partners in learning and teaching. We open our minds to new ideas and new experiences. We celebrate our common bonds and our commitment to one another. We challenge ourselves to accept the privilege and the responsibility that comes with membership in this very special community. And we dedicate ourselves to using our education and talents for the greater good. And this year, we celebrate the promise and excitement of President Hanlon's leadership and all the ways in which the college has been and will be enriched by his return to the Hanover Plain. Convocation also presents a formal opportunity for the student body to welcome our newest members. It is now my pleasure to introduce Adrian Ferrari, class of 2014 and president of our Student Assembly. A government major and public policy minor from Los Altos Hills, California, Adrian has had the chance to observe the workings of government firsthand as an intern in the White House. Here on campus, he has served as an undergraduate advisor, a member of our DLC trip staff, and as chair of the Intercommunity Council, a student group that promotes inclusivity and social justice on campus. Please welcome Adrian Ferrari.
Thank you, Dean Johnson, for that generous introduction. I look forward to working with you this year. Greetings to President Hanlon, members of the Board of Trustees, alumni, staff, students, faculty, and of course, to the great class of 2017. It's a tremendous pleasure for me to welcome everyone to Dartmouth's 244th academic year. I'm humbled to share the stage with so many distinguished leaders and want to note my presence alongside them as a testament to Dartmouth's incredible focus on its undergraduates. That said, I think it's appropriate that I narrow the scope of my remarks to my experience as a Dartmouth student and leave the life and leadership advice to the people behind me who have actually managed to obtain their bachelor's degree. 17s, welcome. I've been lucky enough to interact with many of you at the Lodge towards the end of your first year DOC trip, and I must say I am delighted by what I have seen so far. The smiles you flashed during the dinner shows and the games on the leach field were infectious. I witnessed your optimism in our discussion groups, and you've demonstrated a refreshing enthusiasm by dancing to I'm on a Roll despite spending the previous 3 days trekking through the wilderness. But even more exciting than the energy I felt from you during trips are the budding relationships that I see forming here on campus. Maybe it's senior year nostalgia kicking in, but after participating in trips this year, I've reflected a lot on what it means to be welcome to Dartmouth and why so many upperclassmen dedicate themselves to breathe new life into the TRIPS program year after year. So, if you'll indulge me for a moment, I have a few stories that I'd like to share from when I joined the Dartmouth community. When my mother and my sister Anna dropped me off on Robo Lawn for my DOC trip, Anna made a comment about H Crew. It was something to the effect of, "Oh, Adrian, look how ridiculous these students are making themselves look, so there is no possible way you could feel awkward." I think my sister severely underestimated my ability to feel awkward, especially given my distinct inability to dance the Salty Dog rag, but at the same time, her comment crystallized something for me right from the outset of trips, and that was simply understanding the vast amounts of time and effort that scores of Dartmouth students were putting into my arrival at college. The shows, the games, the conversations with trip leaders began to make me feel incredibly special, and I started to feel like I really belonged. When I arrived back in Hanover from my trip, things took pretty inarguably a turn for the worse. I moved into my dorm with one of my roommates, Pedro Hurtado Ortiz, and we were both incredibly tired from our trips. Pedro had to wake up early the next day, actually, to go to international student orientation, so we went to bed very early. Now, in our dorm in Russell Sage, we have a half bath, and for some inexplicable reason, when Pedro woke up the next morning, he had peeled off this piece of tape that the custodial staff put on our door to prevent it from fully closing. I get out of bed about an hour and a half later, long after Pedro had left, and lazily walk into the bathroom, close the door behind me, only this time I hear this click. And I think to myself, this can't be good. This noise that I've never heard before, this cannot be good. And I turn around and I quickly realize that on the first day of orientation, when all I want to do is start making friends, I am utterly and completely locked in the bathroom. Panicked, I start to look for a way out. I don't have my phone because I didn't think I needed to bring my phone, and I notice that the hinges are on the other side of the door, so I can't take them off, and the worst part is the doorknob isn't even stuck, it just keeps spinning like it's mocking me. And so I don't know if you've ever really looked at the bathroom windows in Russell Sage, but they are very skinny. These are some small windows, and keep in mind that I'm on the 4th floor. The odds are stacked against me. And on top of it all, there's this bright red sign in front of the window that says there is a $1,000 fine for being caught on the fire escape when there is not a fire. So I'm hesitant, but after about 15 more seconds of not having any friends, I decide that this is an emergency. Somehow I had psyched myself into thinking that while I was trapped in the bathroom, all of the other 14s were going to pair up and become friends, and I would be alone at Dartmouth forever. Now, on a mission, I punched out the screen, shoved about half of my body through the window, but then the window kind of closes on my abs. And so at this point, people are starting to pass below me on their way to breakfast. And I am now not only, still not making friends, but now I am that guy who's hanging out of the 4th floor of his freshman dorm on the first day of orientation. Eventually, I grab hold of the fire escape, pull myself through, and descend down to the ground. I told this story a lot at the lodge this year, and that was because I wanted to let 17s know that it's okay if you have a bad day or you feel like you're getting off on the wrong foot. No one honestly expects you to be happy all the time. At the beginning of my freshman fall, I felt kind of alone. I didn't know if my relationships were meaningful. There was no spontaneous dancing or games on the green like there had been on the leach field. That sense of belonging that I started to feel during trips had basically evaporated by that point. Somebody did, however, save me from the vague sadness that I was feeling at Dartmouth, and it wasn't a trip leader, and it wasn't a crew member, and it wasn't even an upperclassman. It was a 14, a freshman student named Gina, who I met completely randomly when I stayed behind from this group of 14s who were going to FOCO, so she had time to put on her shoes. I don't know what compelled her to do this. I think at some point I might have told her the Pedro story and it made her like me. But Gina, over the next couple days, organized a group of people I knew but not well to set up a surprise scavenger hunt for me across campus to celebrate my birthday. 3 years ago yesterday, I ran around Hanover collecting 19 candles and a cake from the middle of the green. The mistakenly purchased trick candles almost set off the fire alarm in McLaughlin where we went to celebrate. But the awkward photo I took of us fanning the smoke out of the room was my desktop for a long time. And I think I kept it for so long because when I thought my birthday would be completely skipped over, because I didn't have any real friends, this gesture really made me feel like I had a family at Dartmouth. Now, not everyone will be lucky enough to have a Gina throw them an absurdly elaborate scavenger hunt, but each of you 17s has the power to be that for another person. When you go out of your way, when you inconvenience yourself, when you push through the awkwardness of that initial encounter in order to make one of your peers feel welcome, then suddenly they are at home at Dartmouth. Because now you're a member of this community. You are Dartmouth to them. As I'm sure you've realized, not every minute of your Dartmouth career will be the programmed song and dance that you saw during trips. The reason your peers invested so much in your arrival, in my case, choreography, lyric writing, and dyeing my hair, was to convey how eager we were to meet you and how thrilled we are to have you here. But whether that sense of community persists depends entirely on the actions that you take to let the people around you know that you care about them. 17s, college life will push you in a lot of different directions. There is no better anchor out there than people who you love and trust. So do me a personal favor. Get to know your classmates. Make an effort to be kind to them. And when you do, I look forward to watching you thrive here. On behalf of the student body, 17s, welcome home.
Thank you, Adrian. I would like to take a moment to acknowledge our student music groups performing today. The Dartmouth College Wind Ensemble, which is providing the prelude, accompaniment, and processional and recessional music. The Dartmouth College Glee Club and the Dartmouth College Gospel Choir. The Gospel Choir and the Glee Club will now perform America the Beautiful.
For spacious skies, for amber waves of rain, for purple mountains, majesty above the fruited from sea to
Thank you. It's now my great pleasure to welcome the Harlem Quartet, our special guest musicians, a professional group with a mission to advance diversity in music. The Harlem Quartet will perform the first movement of Beethoven's String Quartet No. 6 in B-flat major. Thank you. It's now my honor to introduce Mary Sue Coleman, President of the University of Michigan.
Governor Hassan, Chairman Mandel, and members of the Board of Trustees, President Hanlon, faculty, staff, students, alumni, and friends of Dartmouth College. This is a glorious day for Hanover and for higher education. It is also a day of immense privilege for me, as there is no place that I would choose to be than here on the green, celebrating Dartmouth's 18th president. I first need to transport everyone here to Ann Arbor and the University of Michigan, a place Phil Hanlon called home for 27 years. There's a strong Michigan contingent here today. We deeply admire Phil, and we miss him. Yes. He made it clear when he accepted the presidency that a Dartmouth alum had to succeed him as Michigan provost. So we turned to Dr. Martha Pollack, class of '79. academic enterprise at Michigan remains in very good hands. Earlier this month, in a span of 4 days, 2 remarkable events took place on campus back at Michigan. The first unfolded at our business school, the Ross School of Business, and a worthy competitor of the Tuck Business School. The school's lead benefactor, developer Stephen M. Ross, furthered his legacy at Michigan with a gift of $200 million. The gift is the largest in the history of the University of Michigan. It is one of the largest in all of American higher education. We brought out the marching band, confetti, hundreds of students to celebrate this momentous occasion. The second event took place about 80 hours later on a beautiful Saturday night when more than 115,000 people came together at Michigan Stadium. Imagine all the citizens of Hanover in one place and multiply by 10, and there would still be seats to fill in Michigan Stadium. The Michigan crowd that night was the largest in the history of college sports. We brought out the marching band, special effects, a jet flyover, Beyonce, and thousands of alumni and students. It was, in a word, colossal. With each of these spectacles, Michigan school colors of maize and blue were everywhere. But blending yellow and blue makes green. And the big green of Dartmouth was very much a presence. In fact, neither of these historic events would have been possible without the leadership of Edmund Ezra Day, Dartmouth class of 1905. Yes, Professor Day came to Ann Arbor to be chairman of the economics department. But based on the time he spent here as an instructor at the Tuck School, he had bigger plans. Michigan's economic department was housed in our literary college. Professor Day felt business education required its own place in the academy, and he led the successful movement for a new separate business school at Michigan. He became its first dean. He put in place a solid foundation for what is today one of the world's leading business programs. Building a successful business school wasn't enough for this Dartmouth man. When the University of Michigan contemplated the need for a new football stadium, it looked for advice, not from the athletic department, from the faculty. Edmund Day oversaw that process too, and his report on intercollegiate athletics was both thorough and thoughtful. It was based on research and evidence. He argued for a larger stadium, but was even more strenuous about the proper role of athletics in higher education. He rightly said, first and foremost, a university is a place of higher learning, not a purveyor of popular entertainment. Michigan would build a new football stadium, one that is today the largest in the country. At the same time, and at Professor Day's urging, there would be greater faculty oversight, more campus facilities for women athletes, and an extensive intramural program for all students to enjoy. As I said, Edmund Day was thoughtful and thorough. Which brings me back here to the green and to President Hanlon. Just as Professor Day changed Michigan, so did Phil Hanlon. The very qualities that made him an outstanding professor and provost in Ann Arbor are perfect for leading one of the world's great liberal arts colleges in the 21st century. The academic enterprise at Dartmouth is in very good hands. Phil is an accomplished mathematician, and his expertise is encryption. That means that he sees things that the rest of us cannot envision. And his vision has always been of an engaged and exciting learning environment for students and faculty. His love of teaching and the liberal arts is unparalleled. He believes in an undergraduate experience that changes student lives in small classes, with hands-on experiences, innovative technologies, and innovative, remarkable teaching. Phil himself is an effective, memorable teacher who taught undergraduate calculus while Michigan's provost. I understand that he's continuing his connection with the classroom by teaching freshmen mathematics here, where Dartmouth students will gain a fascinating perspective of their president. This commitment to teaching may sound standard in the Dartmouth community because Dartmouth excels at undergraduate education. But at a major research university like Michigan, it is an exceptional philosophy and practice. And Phil was our champion. He will be just as supportive and creative about nurturing and expanding learning opportunities at Dartmouth. A strong liberal arts education is the perfect skill set for the chaotic world that today's graduates are entering. As provost, his acumen for fiscal control and investment in the academic enterprise was every president's dream. I've been a provost, and I know that we have several with us today. It can be a thankless job managing resources to support extremely bright people with extremely good ideas. No state was hit harder in the Great Recession than Michigan. Over the past decade, our state's support per student has dropped nearly 50% in real dollars. 50%. But composure is Phil Hanlon's calling card. The man does not flinch. He steered the university through some of our most fiscally challenging years, all the while advancing academic excellence and impact. This is profoundly critical in an era when higher education is threatened by waning public confidence and those skeptical of the value of our contributions. Phil Hanlon's fiscal leadership is a potent antidote to that cynicism. President Hanlon brings one more quality, unique quality to Dartmouth. Public and private universities have different missions and obligations. It is one of the features of the diverse system of American higher education that sets us apart from other nations. Phil carries with him the ethos of a public institution, one that will broaden the already extensive impact of Dartmouth. He believes fiercely in the power of scholarship and service to address the many challenges our world faces today. This is what great universities, private and public, advocate and, more important, accomplish. I know the reach of Dartmouth will flourish under the leadership of President Hanlon. As Dartmouth president, Phil Hanlon extends a rich Michigan legacy of producing college leaders. Edmund Day, the Dartmouth alum who made such an impression in Ann Arbor, would conclude his exceptional career with the presidency of Cornell University. But before Michigan, these leaders had the distinctive experience of Dartmouth College. It is a place that celebrates teaching and learning, a place that embodies the infinite power of ideas, a place that builds leaders, sends them into the world, and on very special days like today, welcomes them home to do their most important work. Thank you.
Thank you, President Coleman. It's now my great privilege to introduce the Chair of Dartmouth's Board of Trustees, Stephen Mandel, who will transfer to President Hanlon the Charter of the College.
Today, on the occasion of the inauguration of the 18th President of Dartmouth, it is entirely appropriate that through this ceremony, we remind ourselves of the vision and ambition of those who, with this charter, created this place, a special institution that has endured and prospered for 243 years. As chair of the Board of Trustees of Dartmouth College, and on their behalf, I therefore deliver to you, Philip J. Hanlon, the Charter of the College, and I charge you to keep and defend all of the rights therein granted and confirmed. We place this charter in your keeping with confidence in your understanding of its importance and with full faith in the quality of leadership you will give this institution. Congratulations.
It's now my great pleasure to introduce President Hanlon's predecessor in the Wheelock succession, Dartmouth's 17th president, Jim Young Kim, who is currently the president of the World Bank.
Thank you. It's wonderful to be back at Dartmouth, and it's an honor to welcome Philip J. Hanlon to the Wheelock succession of this great institution. The first president of Dartmouth, the Reverend Eleazar Wheelock, left a clear and stern legacy for all who would follow him. He wrote, "And it is my purpose, by the grace of God, to leave nothing undone within my power, which is suitable to be done, that this school of prophets may be and long continue to be a pure fountain. And I do with my whole heart will this my purpose to all my successors in the presidency of this seminary to the latest posterity, and it is my last will, never to be revoked." Well, much has changed since then. We're much more than a seminary, and there is the possibility that not all of you in the great class of 2017 are prophets, at least not yet. But Dartmouth is one of the great enduring institutions in the world. Continuity and tradition are everywhere. The continuity of the Wheelock succession is embodied in the Wentworth Bowl, a gift from New Hampshire's royal governor who, acting on behalf of the British Crown, granted Dartmouth's charter in December 1769. The bowl's inscription reads, "His Excellency John Wentworth, Esquire, Governor of the Province of New Hampshire, and those friends who accompanied him to Dartmouth College, the first commencement, 1771. In testimony of their gratitude and good wishes, present this to the Reverend Eleazar Wheelock, D.D., President, and his successors in that office." President Hanlon, as the 17th in the Wheelock succession, and on behalf of the great Jim Wright, the 16th in the succession, I warmly congratulate you on assuming your role as the 18th president of Dartmouth College. You are a native son of Dartmouth, and all of us here today celebrate the glorious return of one of our best and brightest to our beloved college on the hill. You've already made enormous contributions to your field and to higher education. How fortunate we are that you have returned to shape the future of an institution which has so powerfully shaped you. President Wright joins me in pledging to you our unstinting support as you take Dartmouth to ever greater heights in its teaching, research, and global impact. If you will join me now, President Hanlon, I will happily pass on to you an historic treasure that symbolizes the office you hold, and then soon after, President Wright will join us.
Well, thank you, President Kim. You know, as a boy growing up in the Adirondack Mountains, one of my favorite TV shows was Hockey Night in Canada. I used to watch it on those long winter nights and dream of someday hoisting the Stanley Cup high overhead, like Bobby Orr. My career as a mathematician somewhat dimmed the prospects that this would happen. But that image came flooding back just now when President Kim handed me the Wentworth Bowl. And I can say to all of you that the Wentworth Bowl trumps the Stanley Cup every day of the week. What a vista. Like so many Dartmouth alums, something stirs deep inside me whenever I see this hollowed green with Baker Library presiding majestically at its north end. But today, to see all of you, the Dartmouth family, filling its depth and breadth, this is a truly spectacular sight. And I would not be here to witness it were it not for the help of many people, many more than I have time to recognize. But let me name just a few, starting with our trustees. There are many things that I could tell you about the members of our Board of Trustees, about their accomplishments and accolades. But today, the most important thing for you to know is that they are all in for Dartmouth. When they step into their trustee roles, they have only one thing on their minds, and that's to make Dartmouth the best it can possibly be. And in that, they inspire us all to do the same. And I thank them for placing their confidence in me. I want to recognize my family and friends, especially those who have traveled here today. You are my strength and balance when things get, as they sometimes do in these jobs, a little crazy. I particularly want to thank two groups. First, my distinguished Dartmouth classmates who are here with us today. We shared the most magical years of our lives right here in Hanover. Hard to believe it was almost 40 years ago. And I want to thank all of you who have traveled here from Ann Arbor, my former colleagues in the finest public university in the world, the University of Michigan. I'm honored that Mary Sue Coleman agreed to introduce me today. She represents the pinnacle of leadership in higher education, and she has taught me so much. Most of all, thanks go to my family for their constant love and support. My children, Michael, Maureen, Patrick, and especially my wife, Gail, my most important partner in this new endeavor. And now let me address the student body. You're the reason Dartmouth was founded, the reason we do this work. To the class of 17 on your Convocation Day, to your fellow undergraduates, and to our graduate students, I offer you my welcome, my appreciation, and a sort of editorial note about what brings us here today. This ceremony we engage in, this inauguration, the pomp and circumstance, the robe and ritual, please make no mistake. While it may give the appearance of being about an individual, it is not. It's about an institution. It's about this community of learners. It's not about me or my esteemed predecessors in the Wheelock succession. Today is about our sacred responsibility to you, the student body. All of this, the very institution we serve, is about you. The difference is, you don't have to give a speech today. But if history serves as an example, I expect that one of you may very well stand up here one day and take up this mantle yourself. Not too soon, I hope. But I do hope I'll be present to hear you speak when that day comes. I will congratulate you, and I will remind you not to speak for too long. The buildings that surround us, the grounds upon which we gather, this magnificent northern New England setting, these are but a framing. It's the community, the students, the faculty, the staff, the alumni that defines Dartmouth. Wherever you go from here for the rest of your lives, from a struggling village in a remote land to a crowded concert hall, from a nonprofit boardroom to an inner city classroom, from the surgical suite to the executive suite, you are Dartmouth more than any building or parcel of land. Of course, when I say that this setting is but a framing, what an awesome framing it provides. We are continually blessed that when Eliezer Wheelock sought out a location to locate his school, he chose this picturesque hill overlooking the Connecticut River. The natural beauty that surrounds us is timeless. Yet when I look on this gathering today, I can't help but imagine what a contrast this is to another gathering that took place here many years ago, the graduation ceremony of 1771, the college's first. This would be notable as the only graduation ceremony that had to be drawn out longer than was necessary. There were only 4 graduates. Each was asked to give a speech, then they were asked to sing a song. You see, people had covered great distances over dangerous roads to view the ceremony. A simple handing out of diplomas just would not do. In the audience that day was Governor John Wentworth, who had himself braved a long, circuitous route to get here, camping several nights by the side of the road. Something I know Governor Hassan would do for us today if duty called. Governor Wentworth was so impressed, not necessarily by what he saw here, but by what he envisioned here, that upon returning to Portsmouth, he sent the fledgling school and the good reverend a gift. He sent a Monteith, a silver bowl used for chilling wine glasses. It was the kind of finery that a member of the nobility like Governor Wentworth might be accustomed to. But on a rough-hewn campus like Dartmouth, where the smell of freshly cut pine still clung to every beam and board, such a piece had no functional value whatsoever. But what it lacked in functional value, the bowl made up for as a symbol. While we tend to think of it as an icon of the past, for Governor Wentworth and Reverend Wheelock, the bowl represented the future, what Dartmouth might become. You might even say that it was a challenge to the Reverend. The college would have to grow into the gift. And more than anything, it remains for us today a vessel of challenge. So today, for only the 18th time in some 244 years, the Wentworth Bowl has been passed on, and I have accepted it. Its tremendous legacy and the challenges that come along with it. This is a moment for all of us to consider, once again, what Dartmouth might become. We do so from a vantage point that Reverend Wheelock himself would have found unimaginable. Today, Dartmouth is home to some of the most respected scholars and educators in the world, outstanding graduate and professional schools, and offers the premier undergraduate education in the country. I'll say that last bit again because it bears repeating. There is no finer undergraduate education anywhere than the one offered by Dartmouth College. We have achieved this by never wavering in our belief that this unique community of learners, which thrives in these woods, exists not simply to empower our graduates to prosper, but to make the world beyond the woods a better place. It was President James Wright who held that we must recruit the best students and provide a learning environment that encourages the confidence, capacity, and character to assume responsible leadership of their generation. President Kim, who urged us to strike a balance between the passionate commitment to make the world a better place and the practical understanding of the complexities required to deliver global solutions. And of course, many members of the Wheelock succession, going all the way back to Reverend Wheelock himself, have furthered our mission to produce citizen leaders in the most fundamental of ways by teaching during their tenure as president. I benefited personally from this tradition when I took Math 20 from President John Kemeny. The man was a teacher at heart and a brilliant one. And I'm committed to being part of this important tradition, and so I've signed on to teach a section of Math 11 this term. And in fact, I met the class for the first time earlier this week, and I am delighted to report that President Kemeny's grandson, Jean-Luc, is one of my students. And Jean-Luc, wherever you are, you have my promise that I won't be any harder on you than your grandfather was on me. As with any community, dynamic forces shape us from within and without. And indeed, the external context shaping higher education is changing more rapidly than ever before. Increasingly, our graduates are working in small, nimble organizations. Whether they're working there or with corporate giants, students are required to have flexibility of mind and an eagerness to innovate. Today's workforce is exceptionally diverse, operating across the globe. So we must prepare our graduates to work effectively with people from different backgrounds and perspectives, equip them with cultural awareness and cultural humility. Information technology has transformed the way we live and just as importantly, the way we learn and work. In years past, a student went to college for access to information not otherwise available. Today, you simply open your laptop and the world's information is there, ready for you to go get it. Providing a framework so that this blizzard of information is in some sort of context, this is knowledge. But the time is hard upon us when knowledge too will be widely available. Eminent scholars and master teachers from the world's great colleges and universities will deliver lectures, their special insights and clarity of thought, directly to your laptop and iPhone and Google Glasses. And this points to where higher education is needed now, more than ever, to provide wisdom, the ability to take all that you know, all that you've learned from a broad field of study, from Aristotle to Einstein to Whitman, and use all that to act effectively in the world. With wisdom, our graduates are able to develop a set of values and have the integrity to act on them, to engage in the great debates of our time, and indeed to lead these debates, to communicate powerfully, think critically, engage the arts and humanities, while also being adept at numeracy and quantitative reasoning, and to have the confidence to innovate and take risks. Increasingly, it's about what our graduates can do rather than what they know. And wisdom in this sense has always been the promise of the liberal arts. And more than ever before, the world demands that it remains at Dartmouth's core. We face these swift-moving currents against a backdrop of a national crisis of access and affordability in higher education. The historic funding model for colleges and universities, where too often the cost of attendance grew at rates significantly above inflation, that model is unsustainable. It's our responsibility, along with every college and university in this land, to operate efficiently and effectively and assure access to all students, regardless of their financial circumstances. We owe it to them to meet this challenge. So indeed, challenges abound on many different fronts, but in them lie great opportunities. And so let's put forth a call to action, which I send to the entire Dartmouth community. First, during this time of great change in higher education, let us commit to keeping Dartmouth at the very forefront of teaching and learning. To instill wisdom in our students, we must fully harness the power of experiential learning, learning by doing. We must not only expand opportunities, but assure that students reflect on these experiences and take from them the most important lesson in higher education, that deep thinking and the power of the intellect is their most potent tool in life. When I was an undergrad, Dartmouth led the way by asking every student to embrace the power of computing. Today, we must once again embrace the promise of new learning technologies, in part to reach a worldwide audience, but more importantly, to enhance the teaching and learning taking place right here on this campus. And let us fully leverage Dartmouth's distinctive assets to enrich our educational work, our outstanding professional schools, and this very unique setting. The challenge I issue to my fellow faculty, amongst the finest educators and scholars in the world, is to embrace the timeless aspects of our disciplines and fields of study, while also seeking to reinvigorate them by infusing experiential, technology-advanced methods into the learning experience. Let us be bold. Let our work at Dartmouth be the leading edge of the art. Let us engage our students in ways we haven't before, and let us be amazed at the results. Second, let us grow the impact that our scholarly work has on the world. And let's think big, not just about today's problems. Let us have the vision and courage to imagine tomorrow's problems and opportunities. The most vexing problems facing mankind: sustaining the environment, battling poverty and disease, building an efficient healthcare delivery system. These are complex and multifaceted. They require deep thinking and the broad range of perspectives that a place like Dartmouth has to offer. And our colleagues offer us proof that our scholars are making a difference. Consider Jack Wenberg, professor of the Dartmouth Institute, and his colleagues all across Dartmouth, who had the foresight to build the foundation upon which our nation will transform healthcare delivery. Or Michael Casey, the James Wright professor of music, who's using brain scan technology to generate original music composition, a potentially transformative synthesis of art and science. In our scholarly work, let us create new knowledge that reaches across disciplines and around the globe, because complex problems, those of the world, ignore both academic and national boundaries. To help us achieve this, we are poised to make the largest ever investment in Dartmouth's academic enterprise over the next decade, growing faculty around areas of impact, building new programs, expanding the reach of our education and the impact of our scholarship. Intellectual energy, the excitement of new ideas, is a necessary ingredient for this. And to this end, I am pleased to announce today that we will make a dramatic investment in the future by creating a Society of Fellows program that will bring dozens of highly qualified postdoctoral fellows to our campus. They will be chosen from across the full range of academic disciplines and allowed the time and mentorship to develop their research and gain diverse scholarly perspectives from our faculty. They will learn the art of teaching from the true masters on this campus while bringing to Dartmouth their own unique passions and innovation. And innovation is certainly not limited to the faculty. The initiative shown by our students provides endless inspiration. I've put in mind of Branko Cerny, class of 13, who as publisher of the Daily Dartmouth was overwhelmed by the volume of email he received. I expect we can all relate. Branko joined with fellow Dartmouth students Song Lee and James Mock to create a solution. They founded a company called Square One Mail, which provides a mobile personal assistant for prioritizing your inbox. All I can say is, sign me up yesterday. Student innovation is a well of unlimited creativity and potential on this campus, and one we must nurture. And so I am proud to announce today that we are creating an innovation center and new venture incubator to provide vital resources to student entrepreneurs. Whether they're interested in business startups or social ventures, this facility will give them a world-class entrepreneurial competency delivered by faculty and staff from across the campus, as well as Dartmouth alumni around the world. And we will push these students. We will push them to take on the world's problems and embrace the world's opportunities with ideas and approaches as yet unimagined. And truly, our students are the heart of our community, and so for them too, I put forth a call to action. Before we can change the world, we must be the strongest that we can possibly be. Over the past 9 months, I've had hundreds of conversations with students, faculty, alumni, and staff. I've listened to and learned from you what's working well and where we need to do better. And one message stands out amongst all. What makes Dartmouth special is its community. Such a diverse, talented group assembled in this beautiful and intimate place, and the opportunity to work with and learn from each other. This is nothing short of a treasure. And our community is strongest when we are open, safe, inclusive, and welcoming to all. Like all college campuses, Dartmouth has struggled with the challenges of sexual violence, high-risk drinking, and campus climate. These things weaken us. They undermine our community, the very thing we hold most precious. We must be a leader in crafting solutions to these problems so that the Dartmouth experience remains as vibrant and special as it always has been. We will do this. We must do this. And so I challenge all of our students to consider, with every action you take on this campus, whether you are strengthening our community or undermining it. And you must always choose to strengthen it. And you must hold this commitment dearer than any other. All of this, the great work before us, will take tremendous effort and vision. We will do this work. We can only do it together. Faculty, staff, students, alumni, parents. We can learn from the African proverb, which says, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. Together, we are going to carry Dartmouth a very long ways. And now, just as I began with a word to our students, let me conclude with a convocation message to the class of 17. I mentioned John Kemeny. He was a man I looked up to, one of my heroes. He was a mathematician, an academic, a teacher, and the president of this college. And I will always remember President Kemeny's challenge to his students, his challenge to make the world better. Of course, being a math guy myself, when I think of that challenge, I hear echoes of Archimedes. Give me a lever and a fulcrum on which to rest it, and I shall move the world. You see, mathematicians think big. And class of 17, I want you to think big as well. So let me offer you my own challenge. That challenge is to find something at Dartmouth, something more than a diploma or a lifetime of memories. I want you to find your lever. By earning a spot in such a selective class, you've already proven to your parents and your teachers and to me that you have what it takes to make a difference. Expectations are high because the challengers are so great. Find your lever, the special way that you're going to make a difference. I pledge to help you. We're all going to help you because the length and strength of that lever are measured in terms of your education. It will be the most powerful tool that you carry through life. Let this community of unequaled promise be the foothold from which you aspire to do great things, like so many alumni before you. Your contribution will be unique and significant, and let it begin today. For all of us in this treasured community, let us seek to move the world in our own unique way, and let us begin today. Thank you very much.
Thank you, President Hanlon, and congratulations. I'm pleased now to introduce again the Harlem Quartet, who will perform Billy Strayhorn's Take the A Train. Thank you. Thank you. That was a real treat for me as a jazz lover. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, may I now ask you to rise to join in the singing of the Alma Mater, which will be led by the Dartmouth College Glee Club and Gospel Choir. Thank you. Will you please be seated? Thank you for all participating on this special occasion. We ask you now to remain seated while the platform group, delegates and faculty march out. Thank you.